2 videos ago, I rebuilt a Chrysler 300 Hemi. If you haven't seen that video, I bought it sight unseen from Pickles Auctions, brought it back to my little garage here and decided to get it registered and on the road and flip it for a little bit of extra coin to support these builds. This is my 72 XA Falcon, which as you can see is in various states of a build all at once, but we're making a whole heap of progress on that. If you look at the last video, we made a whole bunch, and on the next video, we're making even more leaps and bounds on the XA. But this video is not that video. You see, I made a little bit of profit on the Chrysler and I thought, what if I rolled that into another one and did it again? So without further ado, so I made a couple grand profit on the Chrysler. Wasn't too much considering there was a lot of things that just kept coming up as I was building, and Chrysler parts are very expensive. Trying to rebuild an SRT Chrysler here in Australia, people just wanted so much money for everything. And there was all these little things that kept on breaking. But I managed to sell it off, make a little bit of money. And I thought, what if I could do that with a car where the parts were a lot easier to find? Thus the Ranger. Not only easier to find the parts, but easier to find out how to repair things, and something where I could just go to the dealership and buy all the parts brand new. And the ability to get parts brand new from the dealer for a reasonable price, coupled with a huge second-hand market, means that the returns could be huge. And that is exactly why I chose the Ford Ranger. It's the next gen model, so it's still relatively new. They still get pretty good price on the second-hand marketplace. And I got this one for a steal. I mean, I better have gotten it for a steal. Just look at the state of the bloody thing. But it got delivered a couple of days ago, and we had some issues getting it off the trailer, because one of the reasons I suspect I got this at such a good price, it was missing both its keys. It didn't come with keys. Now, unbeknownst to me, push to start cars, missing their keys, nightmare. Not only that, mucho expensiano. So I'll overlay some of the security footage and some of the other footage that I got of us getting this thing off the trailer. It was dodgy as all hell. I had to use the courier to like ram it into position. Oh, it was cooked. Didn't enjoy it at all. But A1 Locksmiths came out. They had to buy the Ford codes, and at a cost of $1,650, I got 2 new keys for the Ranger, so I could drive it around, maneuver it. And whilst that was all happening, I went and collected a whole bunch of parts for this thing. So as you can see here, a whole bunch of front end bits, radiator, AC condenser, brackets, fascias, all these little bits straight from the Ford dealer. I've also gone out and grabbed brand new Raptor. We'll be using this grill, the Raptor style grill, just to make it stand out a little bit more for the sale process. There's a brand new tub. So this tub, brand new, you can tell, 0 road wear on it. He basically bought it from the dealership and put a tray on it, same thing. So this set me back $600. And of course comes with the rear bar, the color-coded rear bar. Bunch of brackets, comes with the lights as well. A direct replacement for this tray here. And then the parts from Ford. I'm only waiting on 2 more things from Ford to rock up, but this lot was about $1,500. Radiator, AC condenser, brackets, fascias, all the lot. So off of what I've collected so far, that is enough to get the car running, driving perfectly good to go. And hopefully to an inspection station. That's granted, we don't start pulling things apart and find more wrong with the Ranger, which, as we know, is generally how the story goes. But of course, the only way to find out is to pull this thing into the garage and start ripping into it. First off, we're gonna be taking off the old tray, the canopy. It's gonna be a bloody nightmare because it's just me. I might have to go down the road and employ the help of the neighbor. But we'll see how we go. Rip the tray off, see how she's looking, try and get this other tray on, see if we can get this whole car done in a weekend. All right, step 1, we're gonna get this canopy off. Now, I don't mess with four-wheel drives. I see muscle cars, all that sort of jazz, normal cars, my thing. Four-wheel drives, not my thing. I'll be the first to admit it. I lack a hoist and any, if at all, lifting equipment. So this will be interesting.
The canopy seemed like something that I could lift off by myself. I didn't get any help from any of the neighbors. I didn't want to go and disturb them for something that would seem pretty easy. Did a couple of test lifts and thought, yep, I can totally do this myself. I was immediately proven wrong. I had to go and grab the engine crane and figure out how I was going to use the engine crane to help me get this thing off. I eventually found 2 points that I could attach chains to and use that to support the entire weight of the canopy, along with a lifting strap to help me lever off and balance it perfectly. This seemed to be the winning combination to get the canopy off very easily, and I thought I was an absolute genius. Obviously, I spoke way too soon because although this is sped up and cut, this took about 15 minutes of just pure physical exertion. Now, if I were to do this again, I'd probably do it in the exact same way because I'm an idiot, but at least I would move the car forward a bit so I had a little bit more room. Right here, I backed all the way up against the wall. There was nowhere for me to go further back, so I had to try and figure out some way to balance it on the back of the ute and do this and that and get under it, support it on my back while I disconnected the chains. And then I found I was stuck. So I'm trying to move the engine crane out. I'm stuck underneath it. I can't move it down. The engine crane can't move anywhere because it's stuck. It was a horrible situation, but through pure struggle, we got there eventually and got it off.
Now, I thought before doing that, before I commit to this, I should probably drive it forward, give me ample room, but I thought, nah, there'll be enough room. There wasn't enough room. There wasn't enough room.
So next issue I had was storing the canopy itself. I've got absolutely no room. I've got a little 3-car garage. That's all the room I have, and 2 of those bays are already taken up with project cars. So, being that they're utes, where's the best place to store a ute canopy? On the XA, and it fit pretty well, allows me to still get to the back of the XA to store some things, so that worked out absolutely perfect, and gives me a little storage rack on top to store even more things.
Perfect place to store it. I can still put everything in here. How good. Alright, that's back in here. Time for the tray.
Getting the tub off was incredibly easy. There's 2 bolts that hold on the tail lights and then they just pop out. After you've done that, unplug it from the wiring loom and then pass that through, and that's the tail lights done. The rest of the tub is basically just clips holding on the wiring loom and 3 bolts either side. Now here I had to take off the tow bar, and because the tow bar had suffered a hit, it was pretty difficult to get off. Bits of metal and bits of brackets had been bent in the way of certain bolts. So I had to use a pry bar and some just sheer force to try and bend some brackets out of the way to get to the bolts. But once they're out of the way, came off pretty easy, and I was able to slap that straight in the bin.
I don't know if you can tell, I am sweating. The afternoon sun in Western Australia, it's not only is it intense, but it's coming straight into the garage. And doing all that, I'm cooked. But we keep bloody going. That means the sun's only getting lower, and eventually it's gonna start getting cooler. So, let's keep going. All right, next step, I'm gonna go through and unclip all the wiring harness, sort of plastic clips that keep it secured to the tray. So undo those, and then we'll undo all the bolts holding the tray on. For example, this one right here, for this plug. Got him. Right, stuff like that. Right, I'll go through, do the same to the other side. We'll get these wires disconnected, undo all the bolts, and then we will, in quite possibly the most dodgy way ever, I'm gonna try and lift this tub off with an engine crane and myself. So we'll see how that goes, and I will see you when I've got all the bolts out and the tray's ready to come off. All right, fuel dick's disconnected. 1, 2, 3 bolts holding the tray. This side, same on the other side. A couple of little plugs, and she's ready to go.
Now, because I obviously didn't learn my lesson with the steel canopy, I thought I could do this myself, given that it seemed pretty light on the test lifts that I did. And given that it is totally wrecked, I don't care, I can just basically throw it off. So after lifting up this rear end, I thought I'd get this back end up and double check to see if there was anything connected, so I'm not pulling out any plugs or connectors. Looked okay, this point slips down the tyre, and I realise I'm an idiot, why don't I learn my lesson? But after that, basically just Hulk flipped it off, and it is good to go to the tip.
All right, tray's off. That was actually a lot easier than I thought. When you don't really care about the tray, very easy to get it off. Let's just lift up. You saw me tip it over. But tray's off. Let's get her out. That's me done for the night. I'm gonna order a pizza, clean up, and get back to this in the morning. I'd love to work on this throughout the night, but I'm not in the workshop anymore. I'm not in the warehouse. I'm in a nice, quiet street where people come to retire and not hear hammers and rattle guns all through Friday night. So I respect that. I'll go inside and watch Lord of the Rings. So I'll see you guys in the morning. And it is said next day. So I've already started, then I remembered I've got to film this stuff. So front end, started to take that off. There's the old front bar. Unfortunately, the headlights, there's meant to be a big bracket there. It's snapped off on both of them. So these headlights, unfortunately, cooked. And that is a very expensive fix. It's like $1,200 for a set of headlights. And that's like aftermarket, not even genuine. They have very, very, very flimsy upper brackets. So kind of surprising that a headlight unit that big has an incredibly flimsy bracket. And I'll show you. So this is the bracket for the headlight. This was once attached to the headlight, but they're very long, very flimsy, and break incredibly easily. So they broke in the exact same spot, both sides. We're waiting for new ones of those to rock up. That is the old front bar. She is cooked. Here is the new one. And you will notice it's a little bit different. This is off, I think, a sport model. I did get this one, which is off a wild truck. And I even got the paint to color match it, but that came up literally a day later. So I'll just sell that one on. Saves me having to color match. So we got the new front bar and all the plastic. Pulling all this stuff apart was super easy. It was just a whole bunch of broken plastic bits and pieces
that are used to direct air straight into the radiator and also support certain things.
Let's start taking things off and see how we go.
Front bar mounts to this in certain places, so this thing was totally cooked. Ripped it out and started disconnecting the front crash bar, which had suffered a bit of a hit, but luckily, given that the crash bar's purpose is to protect everything, it did its purpose, it protected everything, it took the brunt of the hit, it bent and absorbed all the damage. So the only things that really got damaged beyond that were the radiator and the AC condenser.
And radiator's out. Ended up taking the intercooler out because turns out it would have been a lot easier if I just took the intercooler out to begin with, and it actually just sits in those little rubber mountings. So intercooler's out, radiator, thermofan, new radiator. Transfer that to that, super easy, just gotta click your fingers. Done. All right, sweet. Let's get that back in. All right, turns out I wasn't recording, but that just dropped straight in. Super easy to get the new one in. We'll go through, hook these hoses up, get the new condenser on, and I am, this is dirty coolant water. I need to put the camera on charge, so I will do that, and by then, this should all be together. So, once more. All right, so we've got the AC condenser and radiator in. as well as the intercooler. So now we're putting the big expensive plastic thing on. This from Ford was $500 just for that bit there, that little piece here with the rubber ducks. It's another $100, but that's the old one. A little bit cooked. So this was a necessity. I think this will look nice. Big, nice new plastic thing on the front. So let's get this on. Because it came off in pieces, I'm not entirely sure where everything sort of went in regards to wiring and routing, so pretty sure I'll be able to figure it out. So that's as far as I can go for now. I'm still waiting on that crash bar to come so I can put the new crash bar in and then mount the radar to it. And then once that's on, I've got to wait for the new headlights, and the new headlights go on, and then the front bar. But I will put the new front bar on now and put all the sensors and the harness and get all that connected to the front bar, and we'll slap it on because I've got to fill this with coolant, run it to temperature, check for leaks, and I just want to see what it looks like. That's it. I haven't fully put the bar on because obviously it's got to come off. I've got to put that front crash bar back in. So I've just put like 2 bolts by the side, and one clamp, one bit in the middle, and then the grill. I haven't clipped the grill in because I really don't want to break anything getting it back out. So a couple of trusty zip ties. Put it out in the sun so it's a little bit better. But first I'll put some coolant in. This tow bar, brand spanking new. I'm talking brand new. Bloke took it off his car straight off the dealership and fitted some kind of canopy on the back. So brand new tow bar, that'll go on. Doesn't need to go on just yet though, so we'll focus about getting this tub on, take all our measurements, make sure it's all good. And then I've got to go back to work, fly back to work, and I'm not back until Christmas Eve. So if this thing looks complete, it won't look like I've got a wreck at the front of the house. Although it has looked like that for the past week, but at least people see me working on it, you know? I think it sits here. Yeah. This.
So it's like it looks really tight.
It's an XLT, and this is an XLT. That's why I was like, hang on. Before we fucking. Oh no!
I think that might be an extra cab, man.
Oh no!
So, one thing I wasn't told when I bought it, this is an extra cab tub. It's just up for sale as an XLT tub. I just assumed it would be a standard 4-door, but as you can see, that distance there, no fit there. So this is an extra cab tub. It does not fit in any way.
That's super heartbreaking. I was kind of keen to get that on and just get this thing looking complete, do the measurements, but now I've basically got to sell that and go and find another white XLT tub. I don't want to deal with getting a different colored tub and getting it spray painted. So for the next week, while I'm at work, I'm going to be searching for a white XLT tub. If you got one in Western Australia, let me know. But that's all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and on the next video, I promise it'll be finished. We'll be registering it, taking it for a trip to Lancelin, putting it through its paces before selling it for potentially massive profit. I still haven't told you guys how much I paid for it or how much the repairs have cost so far, but could be in for a good time. 2JZ XC could be getting a Haltech a lot sooner than I expected. So once again, thank you very much. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.